from the 915 to H-Town, from the Panhandle Plains to the Valley, and everywhere in between. This is the 50/50 Podcast, powered by College Promoters USA. Join me, Hector Cano, as we cover the Texas high school club and college soccer landscape, along with an inside look at the college soccer recruiting scene. The 50/50 Podcast is a platform about the people and for the people who are dedicated to the beautiful game.
College Promoters USA, founded and located in San Antonio, operates as the only family-owned college recruiting company in Texas that brings a truly professional, local, and face-to-face approach to area high school student athletes and their families. If your son or daughter is serious about college athletics, call them at 210-494-6363 or visit collegepromotersusa.com anytime. College Promoters USA, the best investment a parent can make in their high school student athletes.
Here we go. It's another edition of the 50/50 Podcast, powered by College Promoters USA. Our proud partners, College Promoters USA. They are America's premier college prep program and high school student athlete marketing service since 1997. Located locally here in the San Antonio area, you can find them in the Ventura Plaza Shopping Center, but you can also find them on social media on Twitter at SATX Recruiting, as well as on Instagram at College Promoters USA. And you can also get more information on the cool things that they're doing, the awesome things that they're doing, and the lives that they're changing on their website at collegepromotersusa.com. All right, my next guest, he's so great, we had to bring him back again. All right, it's take two, right? So he is Coach Jim Swift, the owner, CEO, and certified personal trainer of Swift Performance Training. Coach, welcome back. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks for having me again.
Yeah, no, it's great. It's a long time no see, right? So for our listeners, obviously, we tried getting this off the ground about an hour ago, ran into just multiple technical difficulties, but credit to Coach Swift. He was a team player. He was a soldier, wanted to make sure that we were able to get it right. So appreciate you, Coach Swift, on that front. And let's dive right in. So tell us briefly your current role there, Swift Performance Training, kind of what you all are about and how you got there.
So I do basically personal training for the strength, speed, performance side of athletes, mainly middle school and high school in the San Antonio area. A lot of football and volleyball, and then more so in recent months, the more soccer players. That's definitely a growing sport here. And so, like I said, I handle the appropriate strength and speed development that they need to become better athletes, develop injury-free athletes. I got into this about 10 years ago after college. I got my exercise sports science degree from Tech State. I found a mentor afterwards who had been at the Division I strength conditioning level and had been on the West Coast training a lot of the what was known as the Pac-12 athletes, all the kids from USC, UCLA, and all those sports getting ready for pro days. And after I got mentored by them, I eventually founded Swift Performance Training about 7 years ago. And, I plan on going a lot more years than this.
Great stuff. And, so for, as we dive right in and we start looking at the time of year that we're in right now, summer's wrapping up, summer's ending. And some people, rightfully so, they've had the opportunity to go on vacation, in some cases, some for the first time in maybe 3 years, 2-3 years because of COVID. So that's a big, rightfully so, that's a big aspect on making sure people are get that time to decompress, spend time with family, loved ones, rightfully so. But maybe what are some of the things, hopefully they were doing them at some point during the summer, but now as they start getting ready, we have college athletes, high school student athletes, they're getting ready to start their respective college and club seasons. What are some of the things that they should anticipate and some of the things that they can be working on starting right now, getting ready for preseason and early season?
Preseason, it doesn't matter what sport it is. There's going to be a lot of running involved traditionally. And so a lot of athletes will, whether in teams with schools or on their own, like if they're getting ready for club, then they will put strength conditioning on the back burner. And on one hand, this sounds smart because, oh, you got to dedicate your body and your energy towards all the running and everything else that goes on as you enter your team preseason before the season starts. And on the other hand, if you cut out too much, then a lot of people don't realize the science that you can lose some of these adaptations in strength, speed, and all those metabolic conditions in a shorter span than what it took you to get there. So, learning that sweet spot and that balance by per team, per athlete is very important. And this is also where they put a lot into the preseason and season practices, getting back with their team, getting back into that full time structure of the schedule and everything gets really busy again for them. That they might also lose sight of nutrition, and that they hopefully had been adhering to going into here. So the biggest challenge is teaching them how to manage all this, and once again, that whole life balance between somebody. You can't go 100% at all that, but you do have to dial down, and you don't want to go down to zero, or else you will eventually fade out faster before the season even hits probably the midway point, I would say.
Right. Right. Yeah, such a great point. And so that sounds great, coach. And you're throwing out a lot of these big words, right? I'm a 14-year-old, I'm a 15-year-old, and I just want to play soccer, right? So from you mentioned the nutrition piece, but maybe even the periodization piece, the tempo, the recovery. I'm a 14, 15-year-old young man or young lady. What should that mean to me in terms of just recovery, nutrition, periodization, paying attention to the sudden demands I'm putting on my
Mhm.
body? Uh, so there's that athlete piece, and then maybe that coach piece, right? From those aspects, what should they be looking for? What should they be paying attention to?
Um, Definitely how you're feeling going into practice, how you're feeling in the middle of practice and afterwards as you try to recover day to day. This all involves body awareness, and if you've been training and your coaches probably have taught you a lot about body awareness, and but you definitely got to tap into different cues on on a simple scale of 1 to 10. How is your energy level starting the workout versus the middle versus the end? How is it day one versus day two? Uh, the periodization thing can get really complicated. A lot of kids are like, what is that? To put it simply, you have to lift a little bit more weight, run a little bit more in order to see benefits in your speed and your strength. But as you go into your conditioning, for the preseason before you get ready for the in-season side of things this year, maybe if you did, to keep it simple, if you did 4 days a week, maybe drop it down to two. Keep it safe. Once again, you're not going down to zero. You're going out two. You're preserving your body, but you're still putting in those
Right.
strength demands that you need in the weight room. So you can go back a little bit. You can always go back up, but it's a lot harder if you go back down to zero completely and then knowing when to stick the weights back in. So I'd say cut it in half. If you're doing 10 workouts per day, cut it down to the most important 4 to 5. Just keep it really simple. We can go deeper into the science of why it's less than that, more than that, but I'd say a simple rule of thumb on how to manage things without having to get too geeky and take up a lot of their preseason time, having to read a whole entire book that a lot of us had to spend in college.
Right. So that's from that perspective, right? So whether I look at it from the coach's perspective or the student athlete's perspective, I am. I'm there. I'm in training for 2 hours, right? Hour and a half, two
Mhm.
hours, 2.5 hours, what have you. Uh, and that's all fine and dandy. But then what am I doing those other 21, 22 hours out of the day in terms of recovery, rest, which, sleep, which we know is vital, and nutrition? What should I be doing in those other, the bulk of the day, right? Those 21, 22 hours out of the day.
Yeah. So no matter if you're experiencing 100 plus degree weather like we have here in Texas the last several months, or you have more favorable weather to where 85 is a high, but you have no humidity at all. Um, you definitely want to stay on top of your hydration. I would, easy rule of thumb they always say is half your body weight in ounces of water. You might need a little bit more as you sweat that out, getting the right kind of electrolytes. As young athletes, you can do Gatorade, but you might need to watch the extra sugar. There's Pedialyte, there's other electrolyte sticks that you can add into your water. But once again, notice I'm always saying water. Nothing takes the place of water. It supplements water. That's what a supplement is. It's the last bit of percentage in there. So you want to make sure that you continuously hydrate before, during, and the rest of the day after practices. And then nutritionally, you don't want to leave a hard practice and training session and go straight to Taco Bell or McDonald's. It can get really confusing and take a lot of hours for us to say, do this, do that. It's a lot easier for me to say, try to avoid the drive-through as best as possible. Eat something as fresh and whole food as possible as you can. Anything from chicken and fish, something that's very solid, but also light. If you're picky, I'm sorry, you need to eat all the fruits and greens that you can. That's going to be pretty much a rule of thumb for your nutrition as a student athlete and as become an adult who isn't playing sports anymore. So keeping those in mind will definitely help you. Cold showers, cold baths, that kind of stuff help reduce the body temperature. Stretch, you don't got to go do 10 hours of yoga, but definitely if your body is feeling compressed in the back, the hips, your quads, even your feet, roll your body out if you know how. Stretch it out any which way you've ever learned. Don't go and do a bunch. Try not to have a crazy schedule afterwards. I would say too. Nothing that's going to exhaust you. And that can be tough. Everybody has demands, But if you're, I told my athletes if they are going to be starting practices, and let's say practice is only from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. I'm going to, usually I might, a lot of them are good in the summer for, hey, we're going to come in 3 hours early. I might tell them don't come in for 5 or 6 hours. Let your body have more time between. Take a small nap, but you don't need to sleep the whole 4 or 5 hours in between. Like, it's something
Right.
you're just mentally zoned out, have something quiet, a quiet, cool room and, less lights, less of the white lights and everything coming in, hydrate, eat. And you should recover day to day pretty well. And if you have to go to the training session, I told a kid who the other day, she's like, okay, I have my volleyball tryouts Monday and Tuesday. When should I come for train? I was like, until you get the go ahead that you're coming back after those 2 days, I'm not going to see you those 2 days. And then I also wanted her to put all her mental and physical energy into those 2 days, not worry about coming to me. And then also gauge how her body feels. Even if you're a guaranteed starter, team captain, there's no shame in seeing how your body feels by kicking off some of the other stuff. But also, once again, that's for 1 or 2 days at a time, not a full-on week of absolutely 100% no weights. I will gradually manage things as I go with all the kids. They're probably tired of me asking what their schedule's like every week as we get closer to
Right.
this time period.
Right. Yeah. No doubt. No doubt. So we talked with the athletes, right? With the student athletes, paying attention to the signs and what their body's telling them.
Mhm.
Now, and that communication piece with coaches is such a vital part, right? And normally, in a perfect world, a student athletes, if something isn't feeling right, hey, we just started preseason, or something isn't feeling right, very rarely they're going to be very reluctant. Let's just be honest. They're going to be very
Yeah.
reluctant to come to their coach and just say, hey, coach, I kind of felt this, or I'm feeling this, or just really lethargic, what have you, right? Whatever, what have you. But from the coach's perspective, that awareness, right, is, and in many cases, a lot of these new you're having new coaches with new teams, new athletes with new coaches. We have high school, recently graduated high school student athletes that are now entering, and they're going to play at the collegiate level. So now they're being introduced to a whole new level with a whole new set of teammates and coaches, right, and a higher level of play. What are some things that maybe coaches coaches should be looking for in terms of an awareness as far as paying attention to those signs from their athletes when 9 times out of 10 they're going to be reluctant to say anything to the coaches?
Yeah, coaches were all about you have to go into preseason with and season with high expectations. I'm not saying lower the bar on there, but I think a key thing is just like the athlete needs better understanding of balance in their life. Uh, how you start off the season might need also start with a high expectation, but gauge how an athlete is feeling during workouts on a scale of 1 to 10. If they've been going all summer, the good part is they know who's been working hard, who hasn't been working hard. So one, they can tell who is probably in more shape because they saw them all summer. But also that could mean that uh, that doesn't mean the athlete is indestructible just because they went more days and they're in better shape. That might be those also might be an athlete you have to watch a little bit to like, hey, you can let off the gas a little bit right now, but still that doesn't mean you're sitting on the bench the whole time.
Right.
So there has to be an understanding of where everybody is at, and I know a lot of schools they'll try to gradually have some things where they're going back, or maybe the first couple of days, or they get like a week before. Some of your smaller division schools, maybe before when the kids go back, they have them come back a week earlier than necessary, just to let them get acclimated, get their feet wet, and everything like that. And then, because I mean, and then like you said, everybody's just gonna be stressed without really even showing it from a new team roster, new coaches, new way of doing things. There's a lot going on, and so making sure that everybody is understanding that you can communicate back and forth, um, and not to take it overly personal to where somebody is too scared for when they really are hurt,
Right.
and accidents happen later on. So that's
Right.
and some of this you can talk to any coach. I've talked to a lot of my former coaches over the years, and they'll say a lot of this is you have the textbook and also what comes with experience. And as you get to know kids over time and just get a feel for things, that's part of the wisdom of the job. The longer you do it.
Right, and it can put kind of, from the coach's perspective, it can put coaches in a tricky situation, especially when they're dealing with new athletes that maybe they're meeting for the first time, right? Whether it's incoming college freshmen or just new club players, right? Which is inevitable; it's going to happen. Um, they have to suddenly they're not only are they trying to get to know personalities, but now they don't know what's normal from not normal with some of their athletes, right? As far
Right.
as in that preseason stage. So, and oftentimes this is where these situations can kind of come up is early on, early going. So that communication piece is vital. So for sure. Now, question, there is a clear, obviously it can't be ignored, but I think it's often, but as obvious as it is, it still appears to be a bit overlooked, is the physiological differences between male
Hmm.
and female athletes, and that awareness of the additional stressors that may be particularly to female athletes. I know there was this recent post that was shared on DAZN Football on Twitter. I shared it with you earlier today, from Coach Emma Hayes and the Chelsea FC women. She's addressing her largely male dominant performance staff and talking about being being in tune and getting feedback, um, as on a volunteer basis, obviously, from their female athletes, as it relates to their menstrual cycle and the impact that it can have on performance, right? So, I don't know, what are your thoughts on that? What can you share when you factor those physiological differences that both athletes and coaches need to have?
Yeah. So the good part is, for one, you have to respect the differences in the physiology, or you're gonna overlook a lot of
Right.
things. You're gonna lose respect and buy-in by your athletes if you don't do that. Not to say you can't be tough and you shouldn't be tough on your athletes. I think we're all in agreement on that. But there's still a level of respect and understanding the difference between uh,
Right.
what uh, a male and a female might go through, the differences in their teens and 20s. And so with the menstrual cycle, what I gathered from that video, and I also train adults who are just everyday lifestyle, is a lot of the stress factors. You talk to them about, how's your sleep been altered by ABC? How's your hydration level been altered by ABC? On a
Right.
scale of 1 to 10, how have you been feeling each day? Maybe kind of start journaling with them on that each day. Um, it does come, once again, that also comes with not only somebody like their coach and director making it very uh, putting it right out in front of her male dominant coaches, but also once again the experience they're going to have on how to go about it in a good system. So they did a very good job evaluating. It wasn't, and the toughest part is going to be evaluating without taking too much time away from everything else. But the good part is staying on top of the accountability on a regular basis with nutrition, hydration, sleep, and stress management, for when those menstrual cycles come. And a lot of things might feel like they're going out of whack. Everybody deals with those moments differently. If you've already been working on those, then I imagine it eventually becomes an easier conversation. But you have to get going in that conversation on normal times, I think. Because if you don't, then I think you and I had also discussed it. There were studies either in UK or Australia that when females are in around that cycle, they don't feel as strong. They're not as mentally into every step that they take, every move they make, that we start kind of noticing a trend in injuries that peak around that time, mainly knee injuries that unfortunately might end the season. And so we can't just sit everybody out those weeks because we still have a job to do. They have a job to do.
Right.
But if a lot of what we stay on top of has to do with nutrition, sleep, stress management, strength training, hydration, just letting them vent out on some things, then maybe we can, just like other injury prevention protocols and strength, maybe we can minimize catastrophic injuries. Like maybe instead of them tearing an ACL, it's just like a rolled ankle where they're out for like a quarter.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, and you hit on so many great things there, but yet at its core, what you realize, no matter what type of coaching, whether you're a performance coach, soccer coach, whatever sport, right, is at its core, you have, there's certain words that apply in all of these situations, right? Is management, trust, communication, and relationship building, right? Those
Mhm.
really, I think, to me, those four words strike me in terms of that piece with particularly when you factor in performance, right, which can oftentimes be significantly overlooked by club soccer, right, by club
Mhm.
teams, because they only have so much time with the athlete, right? And unlike where at the collegiate level, what you often find, what tends to be a bigger surprise to a lot of student athletes at the college level, is they they overwhelmingly end up spending way more time with the strength coach, right, with the performance coach, than they do their actual sport coaches, right? So, um,
Right.
yeah, so there's something to be said there in terms of the trust, the communication, the relationship building. So yeah, so many great points there. And that series that we're talking about, for those of you that may be curious, that may be interested, I believe it is called One Team, One Dream, and that's available on DAZN, the DAZN channel. If you don't have that app, you can also you can find it on YouTube as well. So just search the Chelsea FC Women One Team, One Dream. So interesting series. I'm in the middle of that, watching it right now, and so yeah, hits on a lot of things that we just discussed here. So now, as we start transitioning, Coach, the big piece too in helping both our student, this applies to everyone, right? Student athletes, coaches, parents, is the mental health focus, right? And its components, and how they, without a doubt, tie into the performance piece, the sports performance piece, right? Uh, Meaning it's all part of the athlete. It's not just, hey, I can see strength, I can see speed, but we kind of look past the mental health piece because we can't always necessarily see it. Maybe the body language might tell us something, maybe it doesn't, but And again, that goes back to awareness and understanding, knowing your players and personalities. But how can how can we get better at really emphasizing and putting a premium, a focus on the mental health component piece and how it factors into the whole person developmental concept?
I think it's very tough, and I think it's always going to be tough because, like you said, the body language isn't always there. A lot of people are actually surprised because it's when they find somebody has been struggling because they just never show it. They might walk with a lot of confidence, might always be smiling, high fiving everybody every single day, but
Yeah.
you don't know, something was dark going on up there. And that might just be them. Maybe they're trying to hide it. Maybe that's just them trying to work through it.
Right.
I think it still has to go back to the the trust, communication, relationship buy-in from the very beginning that an athlete and coach get together uh, on the team, whether that's freshman year or they're a transfer junior year, any one of those. I think the earlier that you establish that rapport with each other, the better. And the basic check-ins, kind of like in the example we gave with the FC women, that uh, even if you talk about physiological things, that can open the door for the mental stuff because it's like, well, what else is stressing you? It's
Right.
like, well,
Right.
there's relationships and friendships outside the locker room and off the field to you know discuss with them, or if you don't feel like you're um, prepared enough for this, having somebody in your back pocket that they can talk to. There's school counselors locally. I have mentioned it to athletes, or they've had teammates who already went to a sports psychologist. So I think making people, maybe that leads to another thing, is making them feel know that it's okay to reach out when something is going on. If you're having trouble reading the signs, and if you're not feeling equipped with it, maybe you always have that in your back pocket now. Just like there's medical needs for some people's nutrition, with type 2 diabetes and cancer, that's above my understanding and above my expertise. But I have people who went to school for that I always have my back pocket now. So I think anticipating these things could happen, and okay, what do I know? Do I know enough to at least get it going? If I can't, who is a better expert above me that I can lend their hand to get the mental health that they need, or even just express their thoughts over a period of time to help them out.
Yeah. Yeah, it's such a great point, right? It's not always about having the answers, but being able to connect someone, right? So yeah, great
Mhm.
point. Great point. So as we start wrapping up here, coaching, we start getting ready to transition here. What can you leave us with in terms of any trends as it relates to whether it's mental health or just in performance industry in general? What are some trends that you've maybe directly seen, trends that you've read about or have heard about in the industry? Is it whether it's just general sports performance and or factoring in the mental health aspect?
Yeah. So I mean, I've been doing this for 10 years now, but I think at least the last 20 years, there's been great strides in appropriately bridging how to make an athlete bigger, faster, stronger, but also specific to the demands of the sport. Um, so we've been making great tweaks on that, learning from other sports on how they did things, no matter what size the athlete is in those sports, and how they play. But uh, speaking of the mental side, following Coach Brett Bartholomew, who has worked with Olympic sprinters over the years, uh, and also with military leaders, uh, the industry is moving more towards the mental side, or in general the psychology side, the change psychology, um, psychology of coaching, and how to get better buy-in for your team, whether that team is a group of club soccer players, college soccer players, volleyball players, maybe your staff at work, corporate America. There's a lot of buy-in and communication and understanding, while still holding, of course, big expectations for everybody to succeed. That's definitely where the industry is going. He's been saying that for at least the last 5 years since I started buying his books and listening to his podcasts and YouTube channels. And it only comes true more, especially in a very digital, congested world where we see so much going on. Anxiety is high. If there's not anxiety that's high, there's just way too much information out there to sort through. Confusion goes on.
Yeah.
Um, so addressing the psychology side on how to sort through all that, make the waters less muddy, and build better relationships that are still strong and demanding. That's definitely where the industry is going. And like you said, strength coaches especially, we're going to spend a lot of hours with everybody throughout the year. And even if we spend less hours in the season with them, it's still not zero. So really, your whole year, probably like if you're at a Division I school, especially, you're probably spending 40 weeks minimum still, even with Christmas break and everything.
Yeah. Great point. Great stuff. Awesome. Well, that's going to do it for our first segment, Coach. I know we're going to bring you back for counterattack or second segment. We'll get to kind of throw some random off the wall questions at you, have some fun with you, and see how you perform under pressure.
All right.
All right. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after a quick word from our sponsor.
College Promoters USA, founded and located in San Antonio, operates as the only family-owned college recruiting company in Texas that brings a truly professional, local, and face-to-face approach to area high school student athletes and their families. As the lead sponsor and proud supporter of the 50/50 podcast, alongside Coach Hector Cano, College Promoters is proud to be elevating its support for the college soccer recruiting process more than any other service in the country. If your son or daughter is serious about competing in college soccer, call College Promoters USA directly at 210-494-6363 or visit collegepromotersusa.com anytime. College Promoters USA, the best investment a parent can make in their high school student athlete.
And we're back with Coach Jim Swift. He is the owner, CEO, and certified personal trainer of Swift Performance Training. Coach, you ready? It's counterattack time.
Ready.
All right. Look at that. Not nervous at all. I like the body language. Awesome. So, all right. So the way this works, we just throw some random rapid fire questions at you. Majority of them will not be soccer related, but we'll pick on you a little bit and just see how you can do. Have some fun with it. So, all right. Promise we'll take it easy on you, though. I promise. So, all right. First one. If you could train over the course of history, right, or modern day, if you could pick any particular athlete to train, who would it be?
I mean, we've talked about the mental side, and from San Antonio, so might as well go with Tim Duncan.
Nice. All right. Good. All right. Wasn't expecting that one, but good. All right. Next one. Are you a morning person or night owl?
I'm definitely more of a morning person now. I wake up about 4:15 a.m. Monday through Friday every day. So.
Yeah, I was about to say I don't know too many strength coaches that are necessarily night owls, right? They got to get up early. So,
yeah,
all right.
Yeah, we hit a wall after a while.
Yeah, rom-com or thriller? Which movie?
I have not seen any of them.
No. I mean, romantic comedy or a thriller. What genre? I guess.
I'm sorry.
Rephrase that. Yeah.
Definitely go more for the thrillers. I have a fiance, but she really doesn't force the romantic stuff on me unless we're at home and it's on like YouTube TV and everything.
Yeah. Oh no.
But very little. So, but just enough sometimes.
Yeah. Well, you said fiance, so she's buttering you up, man. It's coming your way. Trust me, it's coming your way. Yeah,
it's happening.
No, just kidding. All right. So, invisible or mind reader? You could only pick one superpower. Which? Invisible or read minds? Which one?
I mean, I'd say I'd probably be better at reading minds, but that also might be a scary thing.
Yeah.
But then again, you're invisible, and I feel like reading minds. At least people know I'm there, and talking to the mental side. Maybe as a strength coach, that'd be a definite plus.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, could have put a good spin on it. I like that. Next one. One thing you'd change if you were afforded the opportunity. One thing you'd change in the performance industry, the strength and conditioning industry tomorrow.
Tomorrow, probably less ego. We need a lot better,
Mm,
collab going on between the team coaches, the strength coaches, the lowest level strength coach and GAs, the highest ones, medical staff in certain areas, now sports psychology staffs, nutrition staffs. I mean, less egos. I think make the world go round a lot better.
nice. I like that. All right, next one. So, and you got to be completely objective here. Scale of 1 to 10. 1, you're god awful. 10, you're just the standard, right? How good or bad of a driver are you?
I mean, if a good driver means that they go just right at the speed limit, I guess that makes me a great one. But nobody's perfect. I'll say a 7 because they also say San Antonio drivers aren't that great, so I fit right in there.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. I have a theory on that. I'll tell you that one offline.
Oh,
So,
okay.
all right. So, all right. Which one or the other? The 20s youth and energy or 40s wisdom and experience? You can only pick one.
Yeah, that's tough. I'll go. The second one was a 40s. You said
40s wisdom and experience.
I'll go wisdom and experience. I still feel pretty energetic, so I think I can get by on that.
All right. Okay. Next one. See, we're gonna soccer question here for you. Let's see what you got. Favorite soccer team?
I don't watch enough soccer yet, and I'm not gonna give a cliche answer like all the top, club teams over in Europe and everything. But
As long as you don't say Manchester United, we're good. We're good. We're good on the
that'd
show.
have been a very basic answer, wouldn't it?
Right. Right. Yeah. A number of reasons.
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean when I do love watching soccer and all the countries play, and I am part Italian, so I'm always like at heart gonna pull for Italy to do well.
Mm, okay. Good.
So we go on a
Awesome.
national, so we go on a country by country span.
There you go. All right. I like that. All right. Another zodiac sign. If you could pick a different zodiac sign other than your birth one that maybe best describes you or better describes you, what would it be?
Okay, so I'm Aquarius, and I'm not too I guess smart or informed on all the zodiac signs, but with the way everybody says it, if I could name it, whichever one means I'm the less crazy, because apparently there's zodiac signs for who's crazy, and I'll take whatever's the least.
All right. Well, I don't know. Does that match up? Is that Aquarius? Does that Aquarius best describe that, or what do you think?
I hope it does. I mean, so far everybody says I'm pretty sane and reserved, so hopefully that lines up. But I could
Yeah.
be wrong. I'm a star reader.
All right. Cool. All right. Any hidden talents? Something that most people may not know about you.
Hidden talents. Definitely can't sing. Um, definitely can't dance, but I'm not afraid to go out and dance. Everybody's doing it. Talent though. I mean, I'd say. I mean, strength conditioning really is my best talent right now. But as far as other talents, a lot of people don't know that I was probably about a year away from being a black belt growing up, if that counts as
Oh,
a
nice.
past talent. So if I would have
Nice.
kept up with that in middle school, it probably would have came true by high school.
Okay. Was that karate, jujitsu? What?
Yeah, it was just your most basic level of karate, and from there. But I would like to get back into something martial arts related for the
Yeah.
discipline and overall physical activity.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. Good. Cool answer. All right. Another superpower question here for you. So, s- ability to speak every language or talk to animals.
Let's go with animals. They seem pretty. They seem pretty sane compared to humans. Sometimes they might as well have a good conversation.
Yeah.
And dogs are man's best friend. So
Right. Yeah. You ain't lying. You ain't lying. All right. So, all right. Done good. We got one more question here for you. So, put you on the
okay.
spot here. So, One of these is not a soccer player. Okay. So I'm going to give you
Oh
three
God,
names, and
it's gonna be
you have to pick.
terrible.
You have to pick which one. All right. So Erling Holland, Owen Farrell, or Gabriel Jesus. One of those is not a soccer player. Which one?
Oh, I mean,
Erling
I'm
Holland,
definitely
Owen Farrell, and Gabriel Jesus.
usually a name like Owen in sports would be the obvious one. Uh, what would you say the first one was?
Erling Holland.
I'm gonna say that one just because somebody chose Holland.
Yeah. No, actually, you were. I don't know. I thought maybe you were on track at first. So it's actually so Erling Haaland is now he's a new acquisition for Manchester City. Was playing
Ah,
for Borussia Dortmund. Gabriel Jesus is just signed for Arsenal in the also in the
okay.
English Premier League. But Owen Farrell, believe it or not, the one name Owen, that's why we kind of threw that in there, is he is actually a professional rugby player for England. So yeah, that's
Yeah,
the non-soccer player, ironically, right? The Owen.
but he's
So
but he's still an athlete, so like, I was gonna be thrown off no matter
yeah,
what.
yeah, exactly. That's why we do that. So awesome. This has been great, Coach. So thank you. We really gotta thank you. Thank you for being a great sport. Thank you for
Mhm.
also staying with us. Obviously, we had technical issues. We were able to correct them, and really appreciate you. Just being a professional and coming back with us and making sure that we could kind of right the ship here and get you on. And you dropped a lot of great info here. Um, so two things really before we go is one, the first one is any plugs, anything as far as where can we get more information on Swift Performance Training? How can people reach you?
So I'm all over social media. I'm on Instagram the most. Swift underscore performance underscore training 210. You can DM me and I will respond. You can always email me also at info@swiftperformancetraining.com or swiftperformancetraining@gmail.com. Be happy to email back and forth with you. If there's time also to, you want to take like a 30-minute phone call, I'm definitely down to have a chat with people.
Nice. Awesome. Great stuff. And the last piece, second part is as we do, is typical tradition on our show, is we like to kind of leave with final thoughts, uh, just whatever they may be, whether that's a shout out, a thank you, or just something that's recently been on your mind that you'd like to share. That's a good, not a soapbox, but just a point that you'd like to drive home. Since you are our guest, we'd like to go ahead and let you go first. Any final thoughts you'd like to share?
Final thoughts is it can be scary if you're an athlete, it can be scary to try and communicate first with your coach if you don't feel like you have a great relationship. But what I've learned in the past talking with other athletes is somebody has to do it first, and you will be surprised on how well it works in your favor if you take that initiative. Their coaches are people too. They have personal lives. If you're a high school coach, you got to teach. You got personal lives. You got if you're in Texas, you have over 100 football players to think about. Um, don't be scared to start that conversation if you feel like a coach hasn't started that conversation with you yet over anything. Um, because skills like that, one day in the work world, you might have to start a conversation with your boss,
Right.
with your
Right.
friends, family, and others, spouses, and uh, you might as well start while you're an athlete, and it's probably easier.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's a great point. And actually, a perfect segue kind of hits a little bit on or closely related to what I wanted to hit on because it is very similar. And it's part of what we discussed today is I guess it's more really of a challenge, both for athletes, for student athletes, and for coaches. And that is to work on work on communication. Maybe the challenge is to over communicate as best as you can. You're again, as we highlighted earlier, we have recently graduated high school student athletes that are going on into college, getting ready to play on new rosters, new teams, new coaches, new teammates at a higher level. So a lot is going to get thrown their way. Being able to communicate with not only with teammates, but especially with coaches, right? And the same thing goes for coach. The same thing obviously with high school student athletes who are transitioning to new clubs, new coaches, what have you, new teammates. But the same thing goes for coaches, right? Both at the college level, at the club side. Obviously, high school gets started a few months from now, so there's a little bit more time there in terms of the relationship building piece. But this is, it's our last week in July, so everyone, for the most part, in some way, shape, or form, will get started in probably the next week or two, maybe 3 weeks max. So, so really paying attention to those things, the communication piece, the mental health piece, making sure you are that you're assessing yourself, but that you're also assessing your teammates, paying attention to them, and opening those lines of communication to your coaches, and that coaches are really making it a point to get to know personalities and what's normal from what's not normal, right? Especially with new student athletes. So, but yeah, that's really all I wanted to hit on. I think it's a great point. You alluded to it a good bit as well. So that's the challenge, is over communication, and it's a two-way street, right? And in the middle of all of that are parents, right? Is paying attention to your sons or daughters as well. And the body language, what they might be, what that might be saying that they're not saying, right? So a challenge all around for everybody. So, but that's going to do it. We appreciate, again, Coach Swift, we appreciate you. Really enjoyed having you here, and took us 2 tries, but we got it. And but no, we appreciate you. And again, to our listeners, to our supporters, thank you again for all you do. Thank you for keeping us going. You're the reason why we do it. And until the next time, you know what to do. Keep downloading and keep listening.
You've been listening to the 50/50 podcast, powered by College Promoters USA. Help us continue to grow by liking, rating, and subscribing on all major podcast platforms. And don't forget to follow us on Twitter at 50_50pod, on Instagram at 50_50 podcast, as well as on YouTube at the 50_50 podcast. Until the next time,